So my hair is being an absolute bloody nightmare, but we're just gonna have to ignore her. But hi, welcome back or welcome to my channel. I've been wanting to start like a cute little sleepover club video series. I don't know if anyone used to watch Sleepover Club when they were younger. I used to be obsessed with the Sleepover Club. So I wanted to do a little sleepover advice, agony aunt kind of video. I've got my ice cream because I figured that was also essential for any sleepover. And welcome back to my channel. I only saw you like 3 days ago. This is very unlike me. Or welcome to my channel if you're new. Hi, my name's Helena. Pleasure. So I asked on my Instagram for you to send me in some conundrums that you've been having or any kind of advice you want. Obviously, I'm not a professional in any of this. This is just gonna be my opinion. Let's get cracking. Grab yourself a drink, grab yourself some ice cream. I just broke up with my first boyfriend. We still work together and want to stay friends for the sake of it, but it's been a week and my feelings are so mixed. I know I don't want to get involved with him again, but our connection is just so great and it hurts to see him and not be able to express my love in physical form. And not just that, it feels wrong to let go of such a strong love because we just weren't the right fit. As I said, it's my first heartbreak and I'm frozen. I don't feel like dating anybody else yet, and being alone is making me more anxious and unloved. Firstly, I think it's really normal to struggle with that transitional period from being able to express your love in a physical and emotional way with someone to not wanting to have that connection anymore. First heartbreak is honestly, in my opinion, one of the hardest ones that you have to go through. A lot of people after they break up want to stay friends, but it's also potentially might be the time for you to step back from the friendship just for a little bit, just in order for you to be able to sort of move past this. Obviously you can't help working with each other, but if you're also trying to be friends immediately, I'm not sure how beneficial that is for you. Often when you're continuously around the person that you once were in love with, it can be really hard for those feelings to go away, especially at the very beginning. Also, don't rush into dating anybody. I know you said you feel a bit anxious and confused about being by yourself. Every time I've been broken up with, both the times that I've gone from serious relationships to being single, for me I've had quite a long period where I felt very like lonely and anxious and very sort of confused about being single. That will pass eventually. You just have to really remember, I think in this situation it probably is more hard because it sounds like the reason that you aren't together is not because you don't feel strongly towards each other, but it's just because this is not going to work necessarily long term. And I think that's like a really mature decision to make. Being by yourself is probably what you need right now, even if it does feel hard. What you need to do now is surround yourself with people in your life that you're not seeing in that romantic sense, but you have in that friendship sense. Like being single is a perfect time for you to explore your relationships with other people in your life and really help those grow and cement those even stronger. And then when you want to start dating people, you can, but make sure that you really look after yourself first and make sure that you don't feel like you're looking for self-love from other people, if that makes sense. Do you think psychologists and therapists actually help, or do they make you do you think psychologists / therapists actually help you, or do they just make you believe that they do, but it's actually all you? So I think there's merit in someone facilitating you to help yourself, although I do think a lot of people's growth and recovery in more ways than not comes from them individually. I think someone facilitating you to be able to grow or recover is helping you. My long-term boyfriend has slept with lots of people before me and it makes me feel jealous. How do I finally get over it? I think a lot of people can probably relate to this. It's a dangerous and slippery slope to get down if you start sort of like comparing how many people your partner's slept with in comparison to you. I would suggest the best thing to do would be to communicate that with your partner, with your long-term boyfriend. I don't know if it comes up in conversation or how this was like fully discussed, but I would say like opening up the communication about why this impacts you, why you feel jealous over this, and hopefully he'd be able to then reduce that anxiety you feel or that jealousy you feel. I think a lot of people feel this way, honestly. I think it's very natural to feel jealous about things that your partner has done. You've also just got to hold on to the fact that like that doesn't detract away from the relationship that you have. He, wants to be with you and you want to be with him, and whether or not you have slept with other people before or he has, it's what you have now that like truly matters, and that kind of relationship and that, I would say sexual chemistry, but I feel like that's a bit invasive, but that you do have rather than other people. But yeah, I think a lot of people honestly feel this way. How do you feel about not centering your appearance? I'm trying to navigate not making it the main thing about me, but I'm finding it near impossible to ignore how insecure I am about it. It dunks my confidence in everything else that I'm not feeling cute. Oh my God, my English is so hard. Scared if I try to feel pretty, I'll get addicted to that. If I wear makeup more regularly, I won't be able to go without makeup on anymore, etc. We're not our looks, but what do we do when it's such a burden that it makes us very unhappy? So this is something that I can relate to so much, probably throughout my entire life, particularly within the last year. As I've been very vocal about online, I do struggle with body dysmorphic disorder, particularly around my face, so I can fully understand. And I also think it's really difficult to not be centered around your appearance, because that's just kind of how some brains are programmed, but also that's kind of how society is programmed. For me, because my job is also on social media, like I literally can see myself here, and so I spend a lot of my time looking at myself, which is an extremely negative thing to do, especially for me. But what I've been trying to do more, which sounds really, really obvious to be honest, but I think you just have to be really proactive about it. But what I've been trying to do more is kind of remind myself of the things that I cherish in life and the things that are important to me in life aren't from my appearance. I'll kind of give an example of, this isn't necessarily appearance, but confidence related, because I've always been really insecure about my laugh. It's just a very loud laugh. When I went to my granddad's funeral a couple weeks ago, we were watching my granddad's funeral, but my nanny had passed away the year before. With COVID, we didn't have a chance to do the funeral. Anyway, I'm sidetracking. The reason I bring it up is because a lot of my grandparents, long-time friends were there. So these are the people that have known my grandparents ever since they were like 13, 14. And obviously now both of my grandparents have passed away, but we were watching these old videos. My nanny was laughing and her laugh sounded so much like mine, and my family, we all have quite a loud laugh, but it was so similar to mine that it completely changed how I felt towards my laugh. And I was talking to one of their friends about it, and I was just saying, you know, felt really insecure about my laugh. One of the family friends said, "Oh, we've grown up with that laugh. It's so lovely to hear it again." And I was like, that is so emotional, because I've hated my laugh growing up, and this is something that they remember about my nanny, who they grew up laughing with, you know? Bringing that back to appearance, there's that quote that's like, the reason that you exist is because someone found the person who made you beautiful, or the person who made you. It's said much more delicately than that, but yeah, it just completely changed my opinion on my insecurity about my laugh. And when we were looking at all these old family videos, and when I was looking about me when I was like a little girl, and I was thinking about how insecure I am about my face and my appearance, not my laugh, my appearance, and how much that can stop me from doing things in my life. I was sort of looking at this little girl, me when I was like 4 or 5, just like living and smiling and being so happy and not attacking herself. Oh, honestly, I can't even talk about it because it makes me so emotional. I get so emotional when I look at videos of myself when I was little, just because I love her and she's so cute and gorgeous, and then it just makes me sad that I've kind of learned to hate what I look like. I didn't hate what I looked like then, and I would hate to think of myself talking to that little girl. And yeah, people you love, people in your life don't care for you because of the way you look. They care about the person you are. And yeah, sorry, I could ramble on for days about that one, but I've never been truly attracted to anybody of the opposite sex. I've said sex with boys, but I'm not even sure I enjoyed it, and there's definitely never been anyone who I'd think about and say, wow, look at his body, or etc. I mean, when I really, really deeply think about being with girls, I never know if I want to be with her or want to be her. The same old cliche. What do? I don't know how to find a girl to hook up with or just to go on a date. Try it. The thing is with sexuality, there isn't a right or wrong way to do anything. I feel like don't put pressure on yourself to make anything happen immediately. The more pressure you put on yourself, the more scared and anxious you're going to be. I feel like it's completely fair enough that this is going to be quite confusing and quite anxiety provoking, but yeah, don't put pressure on it. Like, I would suggest going for a date rather than just finding someone to hook up with, because if you truly want to explore this as a part of who you are, then, you know, get on Hinge, get on, not Tinder, get on Bumble, get on any of those things and start just exploring your relationships with women. There's absolutely zero rush. Just download Hinge, download Bumble, start talking to a few people. If you hit it off, then go for a date. But there's also no pressure to hook up with anyone on a first date. If you're a bit too anxious about that, completely fine. Just be honest and open as well with the people that you start dating. Make sure that you've expressed how you feel, and kind of that you are just kind of trying to figure things out too. And also, if you're not enjoying having sex with men, don't feel like you need to keep having sex with men. I feel like the happiest of times in my life were when I've been single, but I still have an overwhelming fear of being alone, and my primary driving force has always been to find a lifelong partner. Completely normal. It's instinctual and I don't know how to mute it. I've been in 3 long-term relationships, 2 years, 4 years, and 3 years, and I've really tried to make them work, but I'm never as happy / free / myself when I'm alone. Am I dating the wrong people? I said that so weirdly. Am I dating the wrong people? Will the right person actually make me feel more like myself? Or is that an idealized notion of love? Or is it natural and normal to have sacrificed that feeling of being fully yourself when you're together? Obviously with all these questions, there's only so much I can answer on because I will only have my own experiences. I think with a lot of relationships, you do have to sacrifice a lot of, not sacrifice, but you have to, there's some give and take that comes with relationships. But I wouldn't necessarily say that that's a sacrificing who you feel like you are. Is that what you said? I would argue that when you are with the right person, you should feel like yourself. It's a tricky one because from the sounds of things, you prefer it when you're single, but you feel almost like you have to be in a relationship, which is almost like another issue in itself of whether or not that's actually truly what you want. At least right now, once again, I don't know your age or anything. Maybe it's just like a not right now thing. I mean, I've got lots of friends that don't want to, I don't want to be in a relationship and feel happier when I'm not, at least right now, in fully committed relationships. But a lot of my friends don't really necessarily see that for themselves long term either, much more of a living by themselves. You know, everyone's so different. Like, we're all very much taught that we should be aiming for that lifelong partner, but it's not necessarily what you need to do. But I would say that you shouldn't be sacrificing any part of yourself in order to be in a relationship. Will the right person actually make me feel more like myself, or is this an idealized notion of love? I mean, it's a really interesting point, to be fair. And yeah, I don't think there's one right or wrong answer. I'm sure everyone will feel very differently about this. I think if you aren't feeling like yourself in a relationship, I personally would not want to be in the relationship. I would also rather be single and happy and alone rather than be not feeling like myself in a relationship. This is an ED related question, so I'll put trigger warning here. I'll put this timestamped in the caption. Sorry if you don't want eating disorder related questions, but I am weight restored, discharged from CAMS and eating well. However, my life still revolves around food. I can do anything, eat anything, drink anything, rest as much as I want, but I'll still be thinking about food, and I hate how much I'm still interested and intrigued by food-related content. It's frustrating as fuck. Any tips, please let me know. Yes, love you too. Give it some time. It's kind of like, the way to describe it, I guess, is it follows a lot of traits of an addiction. Problem with the eating disorder is you need that addiction to survive. You need food to survive. Recovering from an eating disorder and coming out of an eating disorder, your mind is constantly on food. So it's not like once you recover and once you feel like you have this really healthy relationship with food, that it's just going to completely switch off. It's going to take a little bit of time before you feel like you have kind of more of a intuitive, natural relationship with food, because also during that eating disorder time, everything has gone so whack that your body and your brain your brain almost doesn't trust, well, your body doesn't trust your brain and your brain doesn't trust your body to get what it needs. So it's still going to be a bit up and down when it comes to those thoughts of food and those cravings of food, because yeah, your body's just not 100% sure if it can trust you to kind of listen to each other. It's really common, probably more common than people care to admit in the eating disorder community. So me personally, I've been out of an eating disorder for almost 8 years, which is obviously a really long time and a lot longer than you'll see a lot of the people who talk about eating disorder recovery online have been recovered for. That's the full sentence. My point was, a lot of the people who talk about recovery online are pretty new to recovery to an extent. So a lot of their content will be about food, because that is a big part of eating disorder recovery for a lot of people. For me, like, I'm 8 years down the line, like, I'll eat when I'm bored. I'll also forget to eat. I'm not constantly thinking about it. Obviously there are days when I'm like, oh my God, I'm so excited for breakfast, lunch and dinner today, or I'm having dinner later, so I'm thinking about it all day because it's like a special meal out or something. Like, that's also very normal. But you have to allow yourself time to get there. Annoyingly, I think that's a lot of my responses today have been like, give yourself time and you'll get there. Your body is probably just still kind of getting used to everything that it's been going through. Make sure you're also eating enough, because a lot of the times when your brain still fixates on a lot of food, it's because you tend to not be nourishing it well enough. So just something to bear in mind. How to not project my previous experience of being manipulated into my current relationship. Oh, I think all of us are gonna have previous experiences that will determine our current person, particularly when we're in a relationship. That is just the nature of human beings, that's just who we are. And definitely something that I personally have to deal with all the freaking time. Once again, communication is so important. Talk to your partner, your current partner, about these insecurities that you have, and hopefully they will be able to work with you to be able to overcome them. I think if they're being in any way, if they're in any way repeating any of the previous behaviors or not helping you feel reassured, then that is not a sign of a good partner. A current partner should want to help you overcome any past experiences that you've had and help you kind of, overcome them. Just remembering that this is not the person that's hurt you in that way, and to try and see this relationship as sort of a new start. Eventually, you'll be able to be in this relationship or be with someone new or whatever without having that feeling of lack of trust or this feeling of manipulation. Initially, if it's just your last partner as well that you felt this way with, should be encouraged that the partner that you have now should be the one to help you overcome that, because with relationship trauma, in my opinion, you need to overcome it yourself, obviously, when you're single, but when you go into a new relationship, you need that person to also help you overcome that. So communication is essential. I had to do one more because I've been chatting for ages. What should I do when I change my friend group and I'm loving it and it's much more what I'd like in a group, but I get "I miss you" texts from the previous group, I assume, and I'm not sure how to respond because I do feel a bit sad and guilty, but then again I'm so much more happier. I guess I'm not sure what's the best way to deal with guilt. You should never ever feel guilty for what makes you happy or for putting yourself first, and that is categorically the most important thing that I need you to take away from this, because obviously you don't want to make other people feel sad. You need to look out for you, and if you feel more happier with this other friendship group, then that's what matters. I feel like with this example specifically, if you have a friend from this other friendship group, this old friendship group that you still would like to be friends with, and you get the "I miss you" text, then you can still maintain that friendship group. Even if you have sort of shifted friendship groups, you can still maintain friendships with individual people if they're the people that you would like to be friends with, but you shouldn't have to keep anyone in your life because you feel guilty for not having them in your life. Does that make sense? Like, I feel like as you get older, well, I've realized this a bit more, that as you grow up and you get older, you really hold on to the friendships that you want to keep, because there's no point keeping people around if you're not benefiting anything from them in a mental sense. I don't mean like monetary or anything, but there's no point keeping people in your life if you're just keeping them for guilt. If you feel sad that you're not friends with these people anymore, then you can still encourage that friendship, but you should still put yourself first and not feel guilty about doing so. That's my opinion. I'm gonna end the video here because I've been talking for ages. I don't actually know how many questions I even got through, but I'm sorry I didn't answer that many at all. But I will happily more regularly do these types of videos if you have enjoyed them. I really enjoy this little setup. I feel like it's really cute and we can just chat. Maybe I can do different themed ones because I feel like it's a bit all over the place, but yeah. Okay, hope you have a good evening. I hope my ice cream is so melted, by the way. That's how long I've been sat here for, yeah. Okay, take care of yourself. Good night. Love you so much, and I'll see you next one. Okay, bye.